Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Logan Monahan, and I am the president of the Undergraduate Student Government. And I have the distinct honor of introducing President Julie Sullivan and welcoming you all to our annual State of the University address. Today, President Sullivan is going to look back at some of our notable accomplishments and express a vision for the future of St. Thomas. Throughout my 4 years at St. Thomas, I have experienced incredible change. I have grown personally, intellectually, and spiritually, and I am grateful to be a part of our dynamic St. Thomas community. From opening the Center for Wellbeing to working on the action plan to combat racism to creating our first ever sustainability plan, students have been central to the changes that have improved the lives of St. Thomas students. President Sullivan has been our partner along the way. She is bold, compassionate, and caring. She is a strong leader who embodies what our entire St. Thomas community strives to be. I am excited to hear what she has to say and to learn more about how we together can envision an even brighter for the University of St. Thomas. Please welcome our president and friend, Dr. Julie Sullivan.
Thank you, Logan. And I'm very grateful for your leadership. And I appreciate that so many students, how about over there? I appreciate that so many students are here today with us, as well as faculty and staff. I also want to welcome all who are watching from Minneapolis, as well as online. And before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our deep history and connection to this land on which I'm standing today. At St. Thomas, we recognize and are grateful for the links we share with the Mdewakanton Sioux communities. We acknowledge that the land we stand on is the ancestral land of Indigenous peoples. As a Catholic institution committed to justice and solidarity, we also commit to a journey of learning and acknowledging more about our past and our privilege. This includes acknowledging the land and its native people and our responsibility to work towards reconciliation. Again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day and your busy lives to come together. The State of the University is a chance to celebrate our past, acknowledge where we are today, and look together to the future, to envision how St. Thomas will continue to flourish as its best self. St. Thomas has always had a forward-thinking mindset. Since our founding by Archbishop Ireland, we have been a place of innovation and change. This calendar year marks the final year of St. Thomas 2020, the strategic plan that guided our work for the past 5 years. And we have much to celebrate, thanks to the hard work of so many of you who are in this room today or listening remotely or will listen in the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Rather than list new buildings and new programs, let me highlight for you how this plan has guided us in furthering our mission of advancing the common good, of putting our students at the center of all we do, of encountering the community, and of increasing access. First, advancing the common good. The plan helped us break down barriers. Unequal access to a college education pervades our state and our society. Our strategic plan called us to find pathways that overcome those barriers. Through the Doherty Family College, St. Thomas provides a unique pathway to a 4-year degree for young Minnesotans who face financial and social barriers, yet have strong aspirations for college. By 2027, about 70% of the jobs in our nation will require at least a 4-year degree. And for Minnesota, that percentage is expected to be even higher. We want the holders of these jobs to represent the rich diversity of our state. Last spring, we celebrated our first graduating DFC class. And I am delighted that so many of our inaugural graduates are now continuing in their 3rd year at the University of St. Thomas. As a university, we have renewed a deep connection to our mission by accompanying these students. These courageous scholars challenge us to be a better St. Thomas, and our DFC alumni will play an important role in enhancing the future workforce of our region. The strategic plan also inspired us to play an important role in closing Minnesota's K-12 opportunity gaps. Our renewed School of Education partners with school districts to help more school employees become fully licensed teachers, to increase the number of educators of color, and to help all teachers deepen their multicultural understanding. St. Thomas is taking a leadership role in ensuring that our K-12 educational system is equipped with teachers who provide educational equity and excellence for all children. Finally, in advancing the common good, the strategic plan propelled St. Thomas further into the healthcare space. Our society has an obvious demand for more trained healthcare workers and a distinct need to change the way healthcare is provided. Currently, the United States healthcare spending makes up 20% of our gross domestic product. And employment market projections indicate that even if we double the number of nurses in Minnesota, we will not fill all of our state's need for nurses. At the same time, incredible structural inequities exist in healthcare. Our new Morrison Family College of Health will help us develop providers and leaders who address the integrated healthcare needs of the whole person in the context of families and communities. It will disrupt the status quo in the healthcare system and tackle those disparities. Our strategic plan further inspired us to put students at the center of all we do, which I am always grateful for. The plan guided us to respond to the increasing mental health needs of our students by opening the Center for Wellbeing. A growing number of students begin college with a mental health issue, and the newness of college can magnify these challenges. One barrier to getting help is the fractured healthcare system. National studies show that only 10% of patients follow through on a mental health referral when that service is in a different facility than the health referring provider. Having to go from one building to another for care often is a major barrier to getting the help our students need. And as Logan noted, working alongside undergraduate student government, we took a bold step to combine primary and mental health services so every student can be treated holistically. The Center for Wellbeing also addresses many other wellness factors, such as sleep, nutrition, stress, spirituality, physical activity, violence, and substance abuse. In sum, it creates an environment where all students can achieve their full potential as happy, healthy, flourishing, and fulfilled individuals. We also put students first when we revised and modernized our undergraduate curriculum last year. This work takes important steps to set our students up for success while they are at St. Thomas and when they graduate. Steps to help our students see how all the elements of our curriculum fit together into a coherent whole. And steps to provide increased flexibility for our students while they continue to have a robust liberal arts experience. I want to thank everyone in our community who is contributing toward implementation efforts of this new curriculum. From the faculty who are devoting countless hours to developing new courses and opportunities, to staff who are working behind the scenes on all of the logistics it takes to bring our new curriculum to life. This effort calls on all of us to say, we're in. We're going to help make this happen. Thank you again for all you are doing, and I look forward to seeing the new curriculum continue to develop. We also are putting students first by creating a deeper engagement and holistic experience for our first and second year students. Our new residence halls will open this August, and improvements are in process for Ireland, Brady, and Dowling halls. For the first time, we will have sufficient quantity and quality of living spaces to enable all first and second year students to live on campus. Thus beginning in fall of 2021, we will initiate a 2-year residency requirement. Studies show that on-campus residency increases the use of academic and student support services, strengthens students' connections to other students, faculty, and staff, and fosters a stronger sense of belonging on campus. This residency requirement, however, will only be effective if the option of living on campus is within financial reach for more students. So today, we are announcing the KANTHAK Scholars Program. Thanks to a recent $20 million generous gift from a deceased 1959 alum, Irv KANTHAK, the university will be awarding tuition and housing grants to select incoming freshmen who have high financial need. Thank you. The new fund will provide $10,000 per year for the first 2 years when students live on campus, and $5,000 for the remaining 2 years for tuition. We estimate that we will begin by being able to offer at least 30 of these a year, and they'll be 4-year scholarships, and hopefully that will increase over time. The KANTHAK gift also will allow us to set aside $50,000 per year for students experiencing emergency financial hardship throughout the year. It will be used to assist those students who face unexpected life experiences that too often force them to drop out. This gift also creates an alumni referral scholarship to attract students with financial need from outside of Minnesota. This is the first of its kind effort to involve our alumni in helping us recruit those students by awarding this scholarship at St. Thomas. Creative scholarships that reduce affordability barriers for our students are our #1 fundraising priority. 2 years ago, we established a goal of doubling our scholarship endowment. We established that goal that we would accomplish it by the end of 2025. And as of today, we are about 50% of the way towards achieving that goal in just the first 2 years. Encounter with community. St. Thomas 2020 guided us to significantly broaden experiential learning opportunities for students through the creation of the Center for the Common Good. This portal connects our students to experiences that permanently alter the way they engage in the community and accompany the marginalized. Pope Francis talks often of the need for encounter and urges us to face one another as Jesus encountered the poor and the suffering. At St. Thomas, we are called to go to the margins of society, to where we might be uncomfortable, and to do our part to make life better for all. The Center for the Common Goods initiatives support over 3,000 unique students who have contributed over 80,000 hours with over 260 approved nonprofit and faith-based partners in our community. We are looking forward to hosting the Ashoka U Exchange in April, a global conference where our faculty, staff, and students will share best practices and new research, as well as learn about new techniques to educate and engage our students and community. And I thank all of those who are preparing for that event and hosting that event. We also are promoting encounter with others through the College of Arts and Sciences Solve initiative. Archbishop John Ireland was deeply engaged in the social issues of his time, and he wanted his students to be active participants in public life and to think and work outside of the walls of the classroom to transform the world. Solve brings interdisciplinary big thinkers, our professors, our students, and community members together to partner in finding solutions to real community challenges. In this climate of great uncertainty and angst in our political discourse, St. Thomas can be a much-needed voice for collaboration and for reason across different perspectives. Most recently, the college announced the development of Minnesota's first arm of Ready to Run. Ready to Run is a nonpartisan campaign training program that encourages women to run for elective office or position themselves for a point of office. Increasing access. Ensuring that current and future Tommies can afford St. Thomas is absolutely essential. Today, many under-resourced and underrepresented students and families and their school advisors do not consider St. Thomas a viable option. Unfortunately, they often perceive us as inaccessible, too expensive, or out of reach. We are enacting two significant policy changes to open the opportunity to a St. Thomas education to more under-resourced students. First, we are currently reforming and have reformed how we award financial aid. Previously, we awarded financial aid amounts to students primarily based on their academic credentials without regard to their financial need. Beginning with the students matriculating this fall, we have expanded our initial award criteria to include both factors, and thus are providing more aid to students with deeper financial challenges. Also, beginning with the students matriculating in the fall of 2021, I am pleased to announce that we will become a test-optional university. This means that we will be creating a more holistic system of analyzing our applicants and relying more heavily on all factors like high school grade point average, rigorous course selections, and out-of-class and service activities. Does this mean we are lowering our academic standards? Of course not. It means we are acknowledging the overwhelming research evidence that wealthier students generally fare better than less wealthy students on the ACT and SAT. We recognize that a standardized test is not the best predictor of college success and can be a barrier for some. We will spend more time and effort with each applicant, taking some of the bias out of the process and identifying applicants who are the best fit for success at St. Thomas. And I'm pleased to say that some of the most enthusiastic supporters of this initiative are the people that are going to be doing all of that work, and that is our enrollment management staff. So we all owe them a great deal of gratitude for embracing this and really supporting this and advocating for it to our leadership and helping us as leaders advocate for it to our Board of Trustees. Great deal of gratitude. Capturing our momentum. So much has been accomplished as a result of our 2020 strategic plan. It has guided us to change and grow in accordance with our mission and to prepare for what's next. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the incredible work that has occurred under this plan. Our accomplishments show that we are a university which is full of momentum, delivering on the promise of our mission, inspired by Catholic intellectual tradition. We are preparing morally responsible leaders to think critically, act wisely, and work skillfully to advance the common good. And at St. Thomas, our strategic plans do not sit on a shelf. So now, St. Thomas 2025, what is next? Well, we have to keep going. Now, we as a community must embark on developing our next strategic plan and together develop a refreshed vision and shared goals. I urge you to take part in important discussions about our future aspirations and priorities of the university for the next 5 years. The Strategic Planning University-wide Task Force has invited all students, faculty, and staff to participate in St. Thomas 2025. Your voice is needed in the current strategic planning survey, as well as in the stakeholder sessions, which will be held throughout March. On the front page of One St. Thomas, you can find this logo, and you can link to the survey and weigh in. I urge you to take the opportunity to fill out the survey and attend the stakeholder sessions to hear and learn from others in the community. We have to brainstorm and dialogue together on this. Please share your opinions, your energy, and your good ideas. And the reason I say this so strongly is because of what we've learned. St. Thomas 2020 was so successful because you created it and you owned it. To maintain this kind of momentum, we must continue working together as one university. I need you to create and own this next chapter of our journey. Are there challenges and uncertainties? Of course. And I'd like to take a moment to describe our rapidly changing environment and openly address some of these challenges before us and how we as a community are confronting them. St. Thomas is not immune to the shifting higher education landscape. Demographics are changing. The number of high school students that are graduating is declining, particularly in the Midwest. And the financial need of our high school graduates is increasing. We also are dealing with several other uncertainties, such as to what extent will future students seek traditional face-to-face education? What will be the impact of the rhetoric we hear about free college? And how will our society value higher education? According to a Gallup poll conducted in June 2018, only 48% of U.S. adults expressed either a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in higher education. 48%, less than half. This was down from 57% in 2015. So in 3 years, Gallup reported that no other institution type in the country exhibited a larger drop in confidence than higher education. So, what are these uncertainties? Can we find a better way to help families realize that higher education is worth it and find more ways to help them afford it? Will graduate programs be able to attract students to their traditional programs? And what kind of education will post-college adults demand? These challenges and uncertainties naturally stir fear and anxiety. It's only natural. Yet, I am confident and I am optimistic about our future. So why? First, I'm optimistic because higher education is an incredibly valuable proposition. And I am confident that a St. Thomas education positions our graduates for a lifetime of success. Based on a recent report by Georgetown University's Center on Education and the Workforce, it's clear that a St. Thomas education is worth the cost. After accounting for the cost of completing an undergraduate degree, the years investing in finishing the degree instead of working, and any interest costs of student loans, a typical St. Thomas undergraduate will benefit financially over their career by well more than $1 million. In fact, the estimate is $1,142,000. This puts St. Thomas in the top 6% of the more than 4,500 public and private schools that were included in this study. I encourage you to look at it. It has an estimate for each of those 4,500 schools as to the value of that degree over the lifetime, less the investment that had to be put into it. I also am confident about our future because we are proactively working to prepare for and adapt to the inevitably changing environment. I know the pace of change we're implementing at St. Thomas is making some feel overwhelmed. And some are asking, who are we? Who are we trying to be? Where are we going? So who are we? We are a student-centered Catholic university with a powerful mission and a focus on academic excellence. Our academic excellence relies on our outstanding faculty, our liberal arts foundation, and our relevancy to the rapidly changing world of work. Inspired by our Catholic mission, we prepare values-based students and alumni who are committed to advancing the common good. And our students are at the center of all we do. That's who we are. And we're not trying to be anything else. We are adopting best practices to continue strengthening ourselves along all of these dimensions. Where are we going? We are taking our well-earned, outstanding reputation in Minnesota to a larger geographic footprint. We want to tell our story to a larger audience. This is critical to our future of sustaining a robust demand for a St. Thomas education. Our pace of change is rapid. However, when you step back and you look at the changes we've just spoken about and some others, changes such as flat tuition, need-based financial aid, test optional, residency requirement, and more integrated and flexible undergraduate curriculum. These are all well-documented, student-centered, and academically excellent best practices. These improve student access, student retention, and student graduation rates. These are not pioneering or risky changes. In fact, they have been implemented with documented positive outcomes for decades at schools very similar to us. In a sense, what we are doing is leapfrogging. We are leapfrogging and positioning ourselves to continue to flourish. But leapfrogging can be seen as drastic and jarring. However, these are not changes we can delay. We can't take baby steps. We must do them now to position ourselves for continued success as a student-centered university. We also are continually evolving our operations to find better and less costly ways to deliver the services that support our students' education. We must be vigilant stewards of our resources at St. Thomas and always remember that they primarily come from our student tuition and donor gifts. Student tuition and donor gifts. Managers have been asked to do some very hard work, to proactively find savings and make hard budget choices. I recognize and appreciate this work, and I know you have embraced it because of your strong commitment to this university. We will continue to find ways to improve and standardize our processes, incorporate data and technology, and break down silos and integrate operations where it makes sense. The theme of our operational changes will continue to be to keenly focus on who we are serving. Keenly focus with everything we do on who we are serving. Students, employers, whatever it may be, alumni, communities, whoever it may be, who are we serving and how do we meet them where they are? We will have to continue to integrate across academic and non-academic departments to best do this. We have made modest strides in finding new resources of revenue, and we will continue to vigorously pursue this. And our fundraising is outpacing our competitors. Donors want to invest in our students' potential, and they are choosing to invest in St. Thomas because of our strong mission and our bold approach. My ask of you as a university community, as our St. Thomas students, faculty, and staff, is to acknowledge our reality, to embrace change as the new normal, even knowing how difficult that is, and to recognize that each and every one of us must be a part of continually adapting St. Thomas and ensuring we remain relevant, vibrant, and impactful. Our strategic planning process will help us. It will help us look to the future and envision how St. Thomas can continue to flourish and be its best self. It will help us answer the question, how are we as one St. Thomas furthering our mission and progressing toward our longer-term aspirations? I want our community to embrace a vision for St. Thomas, an aspiration that will help describe the opportunities that are at our doorstep. So looking out 10 years, I believe that St. Thomas can be described as the following: widely recognized for forward-thinking, values-based education and inclusive excellence, the University of St. Thomas is a premier Catholic institution for learning, studying, and work, and a partner of choice for communities and organizations from the local to the global. Let me break down some of the important phrases in that aspiration. Widely recognized. We are at an inflection point. Our evolution over multiple decades from a small men's college to a comprehensive university has brought us to this moment. And at this moment, we are taking our place among the widely recognized Catholic universities in the country. Today, we have an outstanding reputation, particularly in Minnesota. And in 10 years, we will be more widely recognized across the country for our strengths. We are known for academic excellence and the quality of preparation of our alumni. Our law school has increased the visibility of St. Thomas by accomplishing one of the best placement rates in the country. 84% of our graduates are in what is termed in the law school parlance in gold standard jobs. That means they're in jobs that require a law degree, basically. And in the latest Princeton Review, the ranking of law schools based on judicial clerkship placements, get this, so Princeton Review ranking of all law schools in the country based on their judicial clerkship placements. So there's graduates that are clerking for judges. St. Thomas was number 4 in the country, one spot behind Yale University. Now that's a pretty good place to be. So we are known. We're known for our academic excellence. We're known for our impactful mission of advancing the common good, as demonstrated by initiatives such as the Center for the Common Good, our Ashoka U designation, and the Undertold Stories Project. But a huge opportunity at our doorstep is to increase our reputational visibility, and that is through athletics. As you know, we have received an invitation to join the Summit League at the Division I level. By joining the Summit League for the majority of our sports, along with the Pioneer League for football and separate men's and women's hockey leagues, we will expand the geographic reach and exposure of St. Thomas. Tommy's competing at this level across a broader geographic footprint will expand the platform from which we tell our story of academic excellence and strong preparation of our alumni and impactful mission. It will enhance our reputation and further cement St. Thomas's place among our national peer and aspirant schools. If you look at the 16 private Catholic universities ranked above us in one of the most prominent national rankings, U.S. News and World Report, all compete in Division I athletics. In the national ranking, it just came out in December, U.S. News and World Report. If you look at, there are only 16 national, actually there are, I think 17, because I think we're tied for 18 national universities ranked above us. But all of them compete in Division I. Across the country, the vast majority of schools who are most similar to St. Thomas in our size, scope, and mission, similar sizes, scopes, and mission to us, compete in Division I. And they all use athletics as a platform to tell their story. Yes, this is an investment we are making. It will cost more. It will cost more in travel, scholarships, and support staff. It also will generate more revenue. It already has. In sum, I am very confident that this investment will be appropriately sized and paced to be digestible financially. Sized and paced to be digestible financially. We will make a transition over several years, and we will continue to emphasize the student and student athlete. That is our decision and no other person's or university's decision. The Catholic universities that participate in Division I, they also continue to emphasize the student and student athletes, as well as many other universities do. And this move will increase our reputation overall and academically, and further extend our mission across a national stage. Forward thinking. We have a responsibility to be forward thinking in preparing our graduates for the rapidly changing world of work. We must be externally focused and anticipate the needs of the communities and employers we serve. At the same time, we must integrate across our academic disciplines and operational silos and bring the holistic best of St. Thomas to the table to prepare our students and serve our communities and employers. A great example of forward-thinking innovation at St. Thomas is our creation of a new Center for Science, Engineering, and Arts on the South Campus. Our School of Engineering has listened to employers for years, and they are providing collaborative engineers who think holistically. This new center will infuse innovation and entrepreneurship into collaborative workspaces for students from multiple disciplines to work together with each other and the community on problems that matter. So these are engineering, science, other STEM students, and art students, music students, other students, entrepreneurship students, working together on problems that matter with themselves and with the community. And in fact, because we think this space is so important, and we think that this space, we want to emulate the space that our students are going to be expected to be working in the future on these interdisciplinary creative teams, that we are co-creating the design of this space with employers and other partners, and listening to them as to how we can design space that best prepares our students to do the kind of collaborative, creative work they'll be expected to do when they graduate. Values-based. We have always been values-based, and our Catholic mission continues to infuse our curriculum and priorities. We educate students to be morally responsible leaders. We don't just say it, we do it. And we do it across all parts of the university. We are inspired by our Catholic faith to graduate leaders who are guided by a moral compass, Across the board, our curriculum emphasizes ethics. And the new Center for Principled Leadership at the Opus College of Business extends this focus beyond the university and helps business leaders to think globally, act ethically, and create enduring value for society. We are also guided by our Catholic faith to care for the planet. Pope Francis' encyclical Laudato Si on care for our common home calls us to care for our planet and for all people by protecting the environment. The Holy Father's call guided our work to create St. Thomas's first strategic plan for sustainability, a plan that leads us to carbon neutrality by 2035. With a STARS Silver rating and a recognition as one of Princeton Review's green colleges, St. Thomas currently offers 95 courses that address sustainability from over 80% of our academic departments. We are infusing sustainability throughout our curriculum and also in our new first-year experience courses. And we're offering deeper connection for students through an environmental sustainability learning community. The Pope's words inspire us to act now. He said, "The young remind us that the earth is not a possession to be squandered, but an inheritance to be handed down. They remind us that hope for tomorrow is not a noble sentiment, but a task calling for concrete actions here and now." Thank you. Thank you. Amir, you were not the first one to clap. Inclusive excellence, another one of the phrases in that vision. You've heard me say this many times, and I will keep repeating that we are embracing a long-term journey towards inclusion. With intentionality and full focus and greater participation than ever before, we are prioritizing diversity, equity, inclusion, and working to make St. Thomas a more welcoming community for all. Last year, we launched the Action Plan to Combat Racism. These commitments remain front and center and will not be put on the back burner. So many in this room and far beyond have helped to step up to make this work a priority. From scrutinizing our hiring practices to creating more opportunities for dialogues about race in and out of the classroom, to creating welcoming spaces for students to gather, to ensuring effective counseling support, to making it easier to report bias, there is so much ongoing work and commitment, and we cannot stop. I want to share explicitly my personal commitment to this work. I will seek to further understand and acknowledge my own privilege, as well as the institutional racism that exists at St. Thomas and in our society. I will continue to demand that inclusion be front and center in our university decisions. I will go to uncomfortable spaces and continue to learn and grow as an individual and continue to support your learning and growth. I will listen deeply to every member of our community. I will give you the grace to make mistakes, and I hope you'll do the same. And I will continue to encourage every member of our St. Thomas community to do this work and take part in this journey. Dismantling racism is one way that we are fulfilling our Catholic commitment to ensuring the dignity of every human being. I also would like members of our St. Thomas community who identify as LGBTQ to know that I'm committed to nourishing a community that exhibits respect, compassion, and sensitivity towards you. I acknowledge the dignity in each of you as a precious human being. It is because we are Catholic that we are called to accompany and respect the dignity of all. I'm convinced that we, the University of St. Thomas, cannot thrive as a community without our constant collective and intentional work towards diversity. Towards diversity, equity, and inclusion in the broadest sense. We must be welcoming across any category we might use to identify ourselves, whether it be race, sexual identity, political persuasion, neurodiversity, or many, many other categories. We must be welcoming and respectful. So thank you for being on this journey. It continues. Premier Catholic institution. Sustainability is just one example of the urgency of our Catholic mission. Now more than ever, I'm grateful we are a Catholic university. Now more than ever, our Catholic foundation is essential for our future and responsive to the needs of the global society. We live in a world prone toward consumer mentality, directed by immediate gratification, and too often dedicated to pursuing individual good. Our nation is stressed by nationalism and racism, and there are far too many disparate voices and often too much distrust. We are living in a pessimistic time, and people are searching for something that transcends the daily demands of living. In short, the world is seeking joy and inspiration. The Catholic intellectual tradition calls us to advance the common good, advocate for truth, beauty, and transcendent value, and to affirm human dignity in all of our interactions. It calls us to listen deeply, dialogue with, and accompany one another. We are developing leaders grounded in the Catholic intellectual tradition who can practice critical compassion and thoughtful love. The world needs voices of ethical reflection. The world needs hospitality and young people who are trained to provide for the needs of others. Because we embrace and integrate our Catholic mission, St. Thomas students are prepared to provide that joy, to provide that inspiration, and to bring light to our world in need. And there really is hardly any other mission we can think of that's more important. So I'm very grateful that we're a Catholic institution, and I'm very grateful that we will continue to grow in how we live that and be recognized for how we do it. Partner of choice, our final phrase in the vision. St. Thomas is poised to be the partner of choice for our business, nonprofit, local, and global communities, the partner of choice. To be the partner of choice, we must always ensure that we have flipped the lens and that we deeply understand what our partners need from us, that we are looking from their perspective and not ours. We must turn around the traditional way of thinking. Instead of providing individual degrees and asking employers to adapt, we must understand and anticipate what our partners need and respond with relevant learning programs, often co-created with them. We must create educational content, experiences, and spaces alongside our partners and ensure that our graduates meet the most current and future needs of employers. The Opus College of Business, for example, is implementing new delivery models and integrating digital technologies into their curriculum. With support from the GHR Foundation, Opus will launch a digital commons where faculty, students, and corporate partners co-create learning spaces that prepare students for business in a digital world. As Corey Berry, the CEO of Best Buy, reminded us during our recent First Friday alumni luncheon, data is the new currency of business. It is the tool that is fueling better decisions and innovative products, and we want our students and alumni to be facile with that tool. We are also launching a new university platform to offer non-credit courses through continuing and professional education, or CAPE. Recognizing that there is a continual need for upskilling in today's rapidly changing world of work, St. Thomas will offer non-credit courses to develop the new skills that our alumni and broader market are demanding. So in closing, I want you to know that I'm grateful, very grateful for each and every one of you. I am so appreciative of and really inspired by our journey together. I'm working terribly hard, but I'm having fun. And I'm excited about the next chapter. And I know you're working terribly hard, and I hope you're having fun. I'm amazed at this caring community who truly shows me time and time again that you want the best for our students. Uniquely, human talents and traits such as compassion, interpersonal communication, empathy, ethical frameworks, and creativity are key to the health and success of any organization. By that measure, no one surpasses St. Thomas. Whatever St. Thomas looks like in the next 5, 10, or 20 years, I'm confident we will not stray from our mission of preparing morally responsible leaders to advance the common good. We will put the welfare of our students first and embrace ideas and solutions that will ensure a bright future for the University of St. Thomas. In a rapidly changing world driven by problem solvers and those with a strong liberal arts foundation, St. Thomas has never been more important and more relevant as a leader in the future of higher education. We are grounded in a strong foundation. We are ready to embrace our next chapter of extending the reach of our mission and impact across the country and throughout the world. My optimism about St. Thomas has never been brighter. Archbishop John Ireland's spirit still guides us when he said, "I see no backward voyage across the sea of time. I will ever press forward. I believe that God intends the present to be better than the past and the future to be better than the present." Now I am pleased to share with you a video summary of our remarkable St. Thomas voyage across the sea of time. Thank you.
After 135 years, nothing has changed, and everything has changed. Archbishop John Ireland founded a small Catholic liberal arts college where faith and reason walk together. He opened the doors to Irish immigrants seeking to liberate their minds and change their destinies. And the rest is history. Our Catholic convictions continue to guide us in everything we do. We're working to make this world a better place, and we just can't stand still. We have the vision, passion, and momentum to embrace the future. We've transformed into a comprehensive urban university with 8 colleges, 10,000 students, and more than 110,000 alumni strong. We're all about change. It's in our DNA. We are going beyond Minnesota and taking our place on the national stage. We have no tolerance for intolerance. We will be the partner of choice for companies looking for major talent and for communities looking to solve major problems. So we can wake up to a better tomorrow. After 135 years, nothing has changed. And everything has changed.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Sullivan. We really appreciate your remarks, looking at where our university is now and looking ahead as well. If I don't know you, let me introduce myself. I'm Vanita Sakar, Senior Media Relations Manager here at the university. And if I don't know you, I should know you. So please call me or email me. I should be meeting you for coffee. When we put this invitation out, we did put a call out for questions from faculty, staff, and students. So I actually have some of those questions here, but we have roving mics as well. And I understand some people are pressed for time. If you are able to stay, we would love it if you could stick around a little bit to hear this question and answer period, because these questions were submitted, and we hope that you will go to a microphone and ask a question yourself. It's an important part of this whole thing. Maybe we'll take a pause here if you do need to leave. Headed off to practice, I'm sure. All right.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you so much. right. Well, let's get into some of these questions that were submitted, and then we'll kind of go back and forth a little bit and also get some of your questions if you have any, so think of any. The first question that was submitted from either a member of the faculty, staff, or students. The first one's about change. Of course, that video talked about that, gets you all energized, and you talked about it as well. Many of the initiatives that you talked about today propel us to accept change. For many people on campus, the change we are experiencing is palpable. It seems to be everywhere. How can we nourish and maintain our St. Thomas sense of caring and community in these times of change?
Well, I think that's a very good question, and it is important to say that change does not come without cost. And, you know, we are a very relational community. And in fact, many of the ways we've gotten things done in the past is by knowing who to call. We can continue to be a relational community. We will have to be intentional about it. And I am very hopeful that we will. As we institute processes, as we automate things, we may not have to call anyone, but we will still have relationships. As things change on campus, it is a reality that people will be in new roles or roles will be eliminated. We have to acknowledge that. If we are going to keep an overriding commitment to the whole of the university, we will have to make changes that require that. But what we have to do is ensure that we can still be as caring of a community as possible when we do that. We have to ensure that everything we do is with compassion, is with respect. We have to ensure we give as much notice to employees about change. We have to ensure that we support them as much as we can, whether that means in finding different roles at St. Thomas or elsewhere. And we have to ensure that we provide emotional support to people who are going through change. And even if we're not going through change, we have to prioritize how we interact with each other every day. How we interact with each other in seeking to understand with empathy the people we work with and to continue to care for them. So I do believe we will continue to have a caring community at St. Thomas, but there will be stresses and we'll have to be more intentional and focused on sharing our care with one another.
Second question, we actually received a few questions beforehand about the Catholic identity of St. Thomas. Can you talk about our Catholic identity and what it means for all of us at St. Thomas?
Yes, our Board of Trustees is really tasked with being the steward and with oversight of the university's Catholic identity. And our Board of Trustees talks a lot about how we are living that Catholic identity and ensuring that we are. And I would say at this moment in time, through all the discussions that I've had over the last 7 years I've been here, the board has explicitly said in recent discussions, they think our Catholic identity has never been stronger. Now, they view our Catholic identity in a way that maybe everyone doesn't share. They view our Catholic identity very broadly. They understand that we are a university of approximately 10,000 students, 2,000 employees, and 110,000 alumni, many whom are Catholic and many whom are not. They understand that we are a university and not a church, but they understand that our Catholic identity asks us to behave in a way that reflects the gospel each and every day and in everything we do. That our Catholic identity asks us to be merciful, compassionate, loving, respectful, and they embrace that as a manifestation of our Catholic identity. So they also understand that there are our Catholic identity is related to how we use the Catholic intellectual tradition as a foundation for our education. They also are very appreciative of St. John Vianney as an on-campus undergraduate seminary. But they appreciate that St. John Vianney elects to be on the campus of St. Thomas because they seek to provide a discerning environment for the young men where they're exposed to the world. They appreciate our affiliation with St. Paul Seminary and the work that goes on to prepare priests to really be men for others. But they really think of the Catholic identity and mission of the university very broadly. And it should be infusing everything we do and how we act.
You were talking about change, and that seems to be a word that keeps coming up. Last week, the Opus College of Business announced a restructure. Can you talk about that restructure?
I can. And first, I want to say to the people impacted by that, whether their jobs are changing or being eliminated or impacted in any way, that I care about that. I care for them, and that we're not insensitive to that at all. Second, I want to say to the leaders of the Opus College that were put a lot of thought and work and care into developing that plan, that I'm very appreciative. And thirdly, I want to say that I support the changes that were announced. The changes are responsive. The changes are just are very consistent with the themes of change that I just spoke about. The demand for full-time MBAs is declining across the country. It's a well-documented phenomenon. There are many full-time MBA programs that are suspending enrollment. And we will continue to have 4 MBA programs: part-time, online, executive, and healthcare. Our Master of Accountancy program, any Master of Accountancy program, speaking as an accounting professor, struggles in a state that doesn't require that degree to practice. And our state doesn't. So, we will continue to have a very vibrant accounting program and many accounting majors who will get great jobs in the accounting industry, but our state doesn't require that to practice. I think the restructuring that they've done to really consolidate the academic support for all their graduate programs, that will allow them to be more nimble in bringing graduate programs on and offline, to consolidate their academic support in a similar way for their undergraduate program, and then to put some of the operations that can be applied to both programs, like scheduling rooms and many other things, to put that platform under both of those programs rather than creating separate platforms. I think there are changes to move, rather than having separate career services or alumni operations just for graduate students in Opus or graduates of Opus, to consolidate that with what's happening at the university level, where we're working really hard to be more outwardly facing in those functions, and they can benefit from that. So these changes all make sense in terms of the strategy and focusing our resources on the people we serve, but they impact the people that work here. And I really care about that, and I hope that any of you who are close to those people are reaching out to support them and assist them during this time of transition. Please do that.
I'd like to take this opportunity to open it up to any of you. If you want to raise your hand, if you have a question for Dr. Sullivan. I know these are always putting you on the spot. No? Okay, we'll continue with the submitted questions. Here's one more. You mentioned your excitement, of course, about our invitation to Division I athletics and what it might mean for our future. You talked about this in your speech, but why does this move make sense for St. Thomas and our future?
Well, we're ready, basically, and we have the opportunity. We didn't seek the opportunity, but it came to us, and we're ready for it. And it's a great opportunity, and we have to seize it. we have to seize it with care. As I talked about, making the financial bite, making it a size and at a pace that we can digest it. We would, assuming all of this happens, we're not going into a Power 5 athletic conference. We are not going to have the athletic budget of a Big Ten or SEC or an ACC or a Big 12 or a Pac-12 school. We're going into what's called a mid-major conference. It's a very good conference. It will extend our reach and our platform to tell our story. But I do believe what we're attempting to do is sized appropriately for us. We made a conscious decision, if we have this opportunity, that we will elect to pursue a football league that is non-scholarship. Football teams are big, and so that makes a big difference in the initial size of this bite. And this bite will be taken over time. There will be many funding sources. There will be some operational funding, but there will also be a lot of philanthropic funding, a lot of corporate sponsorship funding. And the evidence shows, there are many studies that show that when your athletic fundraising goes up, your overall fundraising goes up. And when new donors come in the door to contribute to athletics, they more often than not stay in that door and start contributing to academic programs and other things at the university. So we just have to be thoughtful and careful, but in my view, it's just an opportunity we can't not seize. I'm really, really excited about it, to be quite honest with you.
And roll toms,
And
right?
roll toms. That's what Phil's teaching me that.
Exactly. Any last, any questions? We can wrap up too. Well, yes.
He's tall and I can repeat your question if you'd like that, because I can hear you. Yes, thank you. Sure. So that's okay. I'll see if I can summarize it and answer it. So the question is, we're still implementing many things in 2020, have much work to do. There's a concern that there's a shortage of resources to do some of the things that we committed to implement in 2020, and we're still working on. Is that? And right, and with regard to 2025. So first of all, 2025 is a continuation of 2020. It will, we have to think about where we are today, and some of the work, much of the work actually, many of the priorities have to continue and should be explicitly stated as such in 2025. So don't be mistaken to think that chapter's closed and we're creating a whole new plan that's disconnected from that plan. It can't be. We have too much completely in progress. With regard to resources, that's a fair question. And, we are constantly trying to reprioritize our resources, and we need to take into account what you just said, and that ensure that we are prioritizing the resources to implement the commitments that we've already made. So I appreciate you raising that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Dr. Sullivan. We really appreciate your time and sharing your vision.
Thank you.